Quarantineis, what you gonna do when you're self-isolation? It's quarantineis, you're gonna drink red wine because your brain's insane. It's quarantineis, what you gonna do in 7 days of isolation? It's quarantineis, you're 3 or 4 times off daily updates. It's quarantineis, there's corona COVID-19. It's quarantineis, you gotta think, because if you don't dream, you're gonna die in a pit of desperation. It's quarantineis. And welcome to your daily update of Quarantineis. This is a show which documents the life of one man's 7-day self-isolation. It's a story that may engage you, it may perplex you, but it's a story that is universal across the world right now. Hey, it's working! I was just saying, it seems to be a morning thing for me to be like, now. Hey, done the thing. So, happy morning, Quarantineis! I'm still on fucking India time! Yay! Again, woke up at 10 to 7 this morning. I'm pretty sure I fell asleep from I'm gonna say 10 until 11. I fell asleep, and then my dad came back from the hospice, woke me the fuck up. Threw a load of extra food at me that he had gotten from somewhere, I think. And then, I don't know how he got extra food. Well done for fighting the hordes. Actually, it's not even fighting the hordes, it's just scrounging or scavenging the remains. That's what the UK supermarket kind of system is. It's just scavenging the remains of what the hordes have fucking panic bought. It's funny, the past few days we've been in a bit of a bubble. Well, I've definitely been in a bubble up here. But my dad, he's just been coming from the house, going to the hospice, maybe going to Subway occasionally. So he's not really seen. And then yesterday, I asked him to go get some food for me because I was running out and I can't fucking fend for myself in this day and age because of self-isolation. So not only does he have the pressures of having to go visit his dying wife in a hospice and then have his other son be on time or not on time, he also has the stress of dealing with me in a fucking isolation bubble and not being able to go and get anything for myself. Like yesterday, I realised the frustration of... So I've not been inside my parents' house since about the 6th of January. So I'm having to direct him to things that I think might be in the house and explain to him their whereabouts. Bear in mind, I've not actually been in the house in close to 3 months. And be like, can you go and get this for me? Yesterday's one was, I just really wanted masala chai spices, so then I could just make a soya milk masala chai. Just really wanted it, because I didn't have my Quarantineis. I didn't have my usual red wine. So I just was like, in India, if I couldn't get red wine, tea. Masala tea. That was the way. And he couldn't fucking get it. He couldn't find it. Couldn't find either of my, my curry spice containers for me to make a curry with. Couldn't find my masala chai. He came out with a load of random stuff. Came out with lentils at one point. I was like, Dad, this is not masala chai or curry spices. This is lentils that you soak. But hey ho, that's that. So it's becoming, I don't know, pros and cons. There's some frustrations. Also, funny thing about this necklace, it started to unravel a little bit. So this necklace here is actually my mother. It might sound really strange to say that this is my mum, but I think it was like the weekend before she got diagnosed terminally ill. I had made myself a necklace, something like this, with similar quartz, um, found in a hot springs in the south of Spain in Granada. Ayy. So then, yeah, she got diagnosed terminally ill, and I was like, wow, I kind of want to make her a necklace. I think it would be nice if we both have similar kind of necklaces together. So I made her a necklace, and I offered it to her, and she didn't like it. So instead, she wanted my one, because this one didn't sit right with her. So I took her one, and then over the course of the past close to 2 years, this has just started to fall apart, and like the crystal used to be like maybe down to here, and it's just slowly chipped away. There was a ring on it. The string is starting to unravel, and it's funny because it almost seems to correlate with that every time something happens to my mum's health, something happens to to the necklace. It starts to degrade and wear. And in Shambhala Festival, that was the most recent one, I lost the entire thing. And there used to be this mood ring on it, so like it was just pretty, it was just kind of nice. But then I lost the entire thing. I got a call from my dad saying that my mum had just been rushed into hospital again because she had started to have seizures again. And I was like, fuck! I've lost the necklace! Fuck! My mum's been rushed into hospital again! Fuck! What if that's it? What if I've lost the necklace and now I'm gonna lose my mum? So I like panicked so much to try and find the necklace, or retrace my steps, managed to find a place where I was, and like just kind of feel around on the ground, and there underneath some straw was the necklace. But the mood ring was gone. And I was like, you know what, what's the fucking point in even trying to find it? Like, something bad happened to my mum, so, you know, it's only fitting that something bad happened to my mum. So yeah, that's the strange story for this one. Who knows what the unraveling of the string is? Let's hope that her mental health is sound. I'd imagine that later today, upon my family's visits to the hospice that I cannot go on, I will find out and I will speak to her. I promised you guys yesterday that I would do another evening video and share some music with you. I've not done that. Yesterday I just passed the fuck out, I'm not gonna lie. Also, before I do that, we need another one of start the day as you mean to continue. So today, I mean to start with the usual procedures of rolling, but not only am I going to start with that, it's time for Quarantineis! Yesterday I was good. Yesterday I waited until maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something. Basically my dad left without giving me a fresh bottle of red wine, because I felt too bad to ask him for it, basically. So I waited until we came back from the hospice in the middle of the afternoon. I was going to have this kind of like Mission Impossible styly, try to sneak in the house without fucking contaminating anything, and try to like get through without him knowing, and then maybe do a video of it. And then I thought, hang on, wait, he watches these videos, I should probably not sneak into the house, which is meant to be a contaminant-free zone, and contaminate the fuck out of it for a bottle of red wine. So Dad, if you watch this, I waited yesterday, so you may have looked at me disappointedly when I asked for the 3rd bottle of wine in 3 days in a row, but I think that's socially acceptable when it comes to Quarantineis. I think it's so socially acceptable that the time now is probably still before 8 AM. I'm on India time still. For me, if it's 8 AM, it means it's 1:30 in the afternoon. It's way definitely appropriate for me to be drinking. So, Quarantineis, everyone. Also, my friend Lucy from Amsterdam. She's given me some new Quarantini ideas today, which is making chocolate oaty coffee balls. But I'm gonna make them one different, as well as making them chocolatey. and oaty and bally with coffee. I'm gonna put the fucking Bacardi white rum that I found inside of it so I can have quarantini snacks in the quarantini style that it should be. So nice one, Lucy. Bring me more of these kind of recipes or more of these random things that I can make whilst in quarantine. And, you know, you can watch me test them out and see if they're good. You can watch my developments and adaptations on top of them. Red wine is becoming just kind of red wine, I'm not going to lie. Cheeky Vimtos have gone out the toilet because red wine's much nicer, I'm not going to lie. I mean, thanks, Emma. Thanks for the Cheeky Vimto inspiration. Funny that I had blue WKD to hand. Really odd. But red wine is better, basically. Can you make, I don't know, some sort of cheeky coffee? Cheeky alcoholic beverage with caffeine? Something like that. I've been told espresso martinis for the apocalypse. One thing with that, I need martini. Can you do espresso Bacardi? Or espresso elderflower champagne? Something like this. Maybe I should have just started with the elderflower champagne today. That would have been much nicer. I will get round to playing you a tune. I am just doing my usual start the day as you mean to continue kind of shenanigans. That was a bit big. That rip. A lot of people are up at this time in the morning. I'd imagine a lot of people are also on the Quarantineis stylies. Lots of people watching, nobody saying anything, so fuck you and your silent chat. But Quarantineis, how many other people of my friends are currently in amidst their own Quarantineis? Let me know, and let me know how you're entertaining yourself. I just seem to be chatting shit into a camera quite frequently. One of the things that I've decided that is a must for me within this time of self-isolation is continue to finish writing my mum's funeral speech. Because ultimately it's something that I'd like to read to her before she passes. I think it would be nice for her to proofread what I'm going to read at her funeral. Mate, you don't need martini to make espresso martini? No. It's vodka, Kahlua, coffee and sugar. Okay, 1, can I replace vodka with white rum? 2, can I replace Kahlua with any of the other random stuff that I've got in my end of the apocalypse alcohol store cupboard? 3, does it have to be real coffee or can it be instant 3-in-1? And 2, is brown sugar okay? Basically, I can adapt all of those ingredients, but I cannot use the exact ones. Yeah, I was saying that I would like my mum to proofread the speech that I'm going to read at her funeral before she dies. I think that would be quite nice. See, personally, when it comes to my funeral, I think I'd like to attend. I did run that idea past my mum a good few months ago of like, why don't we have a mock funeral? Why don't we have 2? One when you're alive, one when you're dead. Turns out that is actually a lot of hassle and a lot of bother to organise not 1, but 2 funerals. So, the least I can do is read her a speech that I'm going to write and read at her funeral. So, it'll be nice, I did start trying to write that speech in Pushkar in India and was like, yeah man, there's a few like really nice spots that I could go to try and write this. So like I climbed a mountain ridgeway one morning for sunrise, ended up doing that with Emma and Joe, so didn't really end up writing a funeral speech. But I was like, it'll be beautiful, it'll be great, and didn't happen. And then the next day I was like, you know what, there's still this temple up a big hill. That'll be nice. I'll go up there on my own and I'll write the speech. My alarm didn't go off, so I woke up at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and that didn't happen. So I then went and sat by the like spiritual main lake in Pushkar, like the big spiritual lake. It's like quite a thing. I like sat there for like an hour on my own from like midnight until 1 o'clock in the morning. And then I called Pat, basically, because I couldn't get myself into doing it. So I just spoke to Pat for an hour and a half on the phone. And then two of my friends, Ada and Tiago, just comes walking by in their own times one by one and just found me. And we actually just had a nice end of kind of Pushkar times by the lake instead of writing it. So then the next day, it came to me being on the train to Mumbai, the sleeper train, surrounded by Indian men and one other Indian woman, because that's what the trains are like sometimes. So I thought that would be the perfect opportunity to try and write this fucking speech. Spiritual as fuck, right? I got a little bit into it, not very far. So I kind of need to do that over the next course of the 4 days. So that's one of my main tasks. So if I can hold you guys to hold me liable to get that shit done, that would be great. Do what you want. Just make a new cocktail. White rum and Nescafe 3-in-1. It's not a bad shout, Em. It's really not a bad shout. Oh, right. I'll give you a music-y thing. Because I'd shout a lot of shit, basically. Also, thus far, no signs of corona. Thus far, I've got my usual kind of like a cough every now and again because I smoke. I've got the usual, I've got a little bit of that because I've just come back from India to England and it's fucking cold. That's about it. Yesterday I was talking to Emma and she was telling me how she might have corona and she's in Rishikesh. And it kind of made me worry. Kind of made me think, fuck, it's that little tickle. It's that little cough or like that little sniffle. It's that corona. I don't think it is. Emma's had a government doctor come out to her in Rishikesh today to assess her. Turns out, Emma's got hay fever. They've given her antihistamines and also taken her phone number. Classic Indian man way of getting a woman's phone number. Oh, you've got an allergy there. I'm gonna have to take your number to make sure that allergy stays down, you know. And if it doesn't stay down, you give me a call and I'll come round and I'll push it down. Classic. Yeah, here's some music for you. a Quarantineis chime and tune for you. Cool. Well, fuck a duck, don't throw a hang drum because they won't stop. That was wrong. So yeah, I'm gonna make a coffee now, make myself some breakfast, or finish off last night's dinner, something like that. But I'll catch you guys soon. Okay, bye. Okay, bye. I think it's clear and obvious to say that by day 4 of Quarantineis, I was going a little bit stuck, a little bit bonkers, a little bit crazy, some might say. A little bit something like this. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a particularly bougie episode of Quarantineis. Once again, we are surrounded with a delicacy of fine red wines, and the finest of furs and sheepskin rugs, with a bougie candle-lit table. Basically, this is a little preview of how my Quarantineis kind of narrative set will look like between each kind of scene of the Quarantineis day documents, I suppose they are. I am essentially documenting my quarantine time. So yeah, this is just a little sneaky preset. Oh, it's bougie as fuck, isn't it? Trying to make this look a bit more fancy, basically. So my day 4 of quarantine. I haven't done a video since this morning because tried to be quite productive. I tried to make chai. I really failed. It tastes terrible. What you need is fucking masala chai spices, and again, from the frustrations of being stuck in quarantine, I can't access mine because I know they're in the house somewhere. I know they're just there. But, you know, 3 months of not actually being inside that house hasn't led me to be able to direct my dad very well. I've got gram masala. Garam. I don't know if that will do the fucking job. Who knows? So, making my own chai is apparently off the question. I have fixed my gas problem. Hey! Which involved me having to use a saw and sawing through a gas pipe. Never thought that I would find myself doing that. Always been told, avoid sawing through any gas pipes, you know, at risk of death. But I didn't die, I didn't blow the van up. I managed to replace one gas bottle with another. The regulator didn't quite fit on either one properly, so I just sawed a fucking gas pipe in half, plumbed the two together, so now the new bottle with the other regulator just fits into my system because I've forced it, basically. So I've got gas again. I can cook and make tea and make coffee, which is good. I also today finished the Corona journals. I basically edited all of my travel live updates from India to the beginning of my self-isolation. Edited that together with some nice narrative scenes in the middle to try and bring some sort of red connective thread through all of the videos. So I've now posted that on YouTube and shared a link on Facebook to that post. So if you want to have a look at my collected stories from my journey from east to west, that is now on there. I highly recommend it. I mean, we've got fuck all else to do, let's face it. If anyone else like me is self-quarantining and still within fairly early days, then, you know, it's an hour long, it's worth a watch. It's by far one of the most prevalent things of a feature-length documentary length that I've ever produced, to be honest. I can't believe that I've managed to put over about 60 minutes of stuff together in my 25, however long hour journey it was. But there we go. It's pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. What else have I done today? I'm pretty sure I've done some other productive things. My dad tried to fix the alternator to my van. Sadly, did not work. Unfortunately, due to capitalism, they make things very difficult for you to fix yourself. And they really ideally want you to pay someone to go and do it. But I'd imagine that that's going to become more and more difficult over the coming times. Already, I tried to book in yesterday to get a mechanic to change my alternator for me. They are not free until Friday next week. And you know, who knows how many more restrictions are going to be put in place within this lockdown. I mean, yesterday was bars and pubs and cafes and clubs to shut down, to not be open. Now, who knows if that's going to move to other public services. So, ideally, I'd quite like to try and get it fixed before Friday. Also, who knows if I'm going to run out of stuff by then. I reckon I could ration it. But ultimately, I need to stock up. Today, that's another productive thing I've done today. Today has been a day of the stock-ups. I spoke to Paddy this morning, good old Paddy. He's been fucking productive within this time, actually. He's created a filming studio in the corner of his bedroom in order for him to film random circus clowning stuff that he's coming up with. So he's turning his, I suppose, physical, performative career path into something a bit more online. Well done, Paddy. But he mentioned to me earlier his panic buys. Paddy's panic buys was a whole box full of vaping liquid. Because he has the fears that the post could be restricted soon. And so that put the fucking fear of death into me. So I've also done some panic buys. I've done some last minute eBay shops. Bought a packet, I've bought 50 packets, an entire box of long papers. I bought 750 roach tips of cardboard. I called up my bank earlier to be able to transfer 1,000 of my ISA into an accessible bank account so I can use that as emergency end of the world funds. I plan to use some of that to go and stock up on the stuff that justify buying a box of long papers and all of that roach. I'm basically preparing for, in a week and a half's time, for them to basically put restrictions upon postage and shut maybe the ways into major cities or shut the roads. If they put restrictions within a lockdown circumstance on us being able to drive and travel, that's a big problem for me, because I usually get my stuff, I think, once a fortnight, maybe a couple of times a month, kind of like this. But if that's not going to be the case, then it is going to be a case of stock up. Another interesting thing, actually, is how does all of this affect a black market industry? Like, my friend Paddy also has these thoughts and, well, I would like to say concerns, but they're not really concerns, because it's going to stop putting lots of money in the hands of criminals. But it does make me wonder, what sort of precautions are black market entrepreneurs taking within a corona pandemic, because there are tons of delivery jobs going on at the moment. Don't think the delivery industry will stop. Well, I don't know about the delivery industry, but post the Royal Mail, unless everything is like going through stringent disinfectant checks, this is still a way that this virus can be spread. I mean, they have noted that on metal surfaces, this virus can remain active for a 9-day period. So I'd imagine that the Royal Mail is going to have to really up their levels of restrictions in terms of postage, or at least the hygiene standards of the postage. They've basically got to be disinfectant. And I wonder if that ripples out into the black market industry. I wonder if dealers are disinfecting their baggies, for example, before handover, or wearing disposable gloves before making exchanges, or dealing with that much cash. Are you washing your money? I mean, we do have plastic notes now. We can, like, for example, I've just asked my dad for another bottle of red wine. So that's the 4th one in 4 days. I think that's okay, but I'm starting to feel a bit cheeky. So I've got a £5 note in which I'm going to offer him. But of course, I'm in self-isolation and I have to treat myself within that period as though I've got coronavirus. So, here is a bottle of hand sanitizer, and here is a plastic £5 note. In theory, this should be okay. So I'm gonna clean and disinfect a £5 note in preparation for when my dad brings me a bottle of wine. See, now I've done that, I don't know where to put it that's safe for him to come collect. I'm gonna put it there. Great. Yeah. Interesting developments in the world. India, for example, from this evening is testing a nationwide curfew where there is going to be a national travel ban and everything will stop for a 24-hour period to trial this out across a national board. Man, that's nearly 1.5 billion people under lockdown for a 24-hour period. I can't remember what it's called. Let me click onto Shradda's conversation because she told me it is called, just so you guys can Google it for yourselves, the Janta curfew. So if you're in India and you're watching this, Google the Janta curfew because this applies to you. Also a shout out to my friend Alexia, who is stuck in Pushkar, finding the difficulties of being a tourist now in India. Allegedly, today she had to go to the hospital to purchase a piece of documentation to prove from doctors that she doesn't have corona. She also needed to go to the police station to acquire a piece of documentation to say that the police and the government has given her permission to stay. Other than that, people aren't taking new guests to register in hotels because C1 forms are becoming like gold dust. If you haven't got a C1 form already registering you with a guest house, then you're being kicked out. So there's now this stream of stuck travellers, and I'd imagine this is the case in other countries on that side of the world. There's now a stream of travellers that are stuck without a place to live. So I recommend trying to find a guest house which is a Western-Eastern collaboration. So then they might be able to help you out, man. It's coming to difficult points for you all. I'm really fortunate that I made it out when I did. But like I said, the Corona Journal's documentation, an hour from travelling from east to west, is now online and available, so do give that a watch. And I'm going to continue finishing some of the editing to get the Quarantineis tales online. So I'll catch you later, guys, and I'll give you maybe another little tune like I did this morning. It's what you're gonna do when you're self-isolation. It's Quarantineis. You're gonna drink red wine because your brain's insane. It's Quarantineis. What you gonna do in 7 days of isolation? It's Quarantineis. Your 3 or 4 times of daily updates. It's Quarantineis. There's Corona COVID-19. It's Quarantineis, you gotta think, because if you don't dream, you're gonna die in a pit of desperation. It's Quarantineis.